morning, everybody. Welcome to today's candidate forum for San Jose District 7. My name is Mimi Nguyen, Secretary of VAR and an immigration attorney with the Va Bank Law Foundation Fellowship with Step Forward Foundation. Maggie is the president of VIT-AYA and a board member with VAR. We wanted to open this forum with a few statistics about the district from the last census. The majority of the district is low to moderately low income, which is 79,000 or under. 5 to 19.9% of the population are considered below poverty. 2/3 of the families speak a language other than English at home. Average of about 37.4% or lower go on to earn a bachelor's degree. 53% of renters, and the majority of the district has 10 to 20% or more of overcrowded housing. That said, this district has some of the most resilient families, many of whom are immigrants that have rebuilt their lives in the country, bringing their vibrant cultures, food, traditions to the city. For example, when the Coyote Creek floods occurred, the neighbors came together to help clean and rebuild. The highest concentration of Vietnamese American live in District 7 than anywhere else in the city. That's why several Vietnamese community-based organizations came together to hold this forum to learn about your candidacy and your vision for this district. We are interested in learning about your familiarity with the challenges that the residents of this district face, to hear your vision and to understand how to seek to carry this out. VAR envisions a strong and unified Vietnamese American community that works towards improving the quality of life for all. We mobilize, advocate, and inform the community of critical issues that are critical to their lives. Today's event would not be possible without our partner organizations who provided outreach, sponsorship, and questions for the candidates. We would like to thank Asian American Center of Santa Clara County, the City of San Jose, International Children Assistance Network, People Acting in Community Together, Vietnamese American Youth Association, Progressive Vietnamese American Organization, Vietnamese American Bar Association of Northern California, Vietnamese Voluntary Foundation, also known as VIVO. Thank you to our volunteers. Can you please raise your hands, volunteers? The volunteers helped us put this event together, so we really thank them for that. And in particular, we would like to thank Nam, Phan, and V. Nguyen for translating today's forum.
Chào mừng quý vị đến với diễn đàn dành cho những ứng cử viên khu vực 7 của thành phố San Jose. Đứng bên cạnh Maggie là cô Mimi Nguyễn, cô là thư ký của VAR, Vietnamese American Roundtable. Cô cũng là luật sư di trú tại hội Va Bank Law Foundation và Step Forward Foundation. Maggie là chủ tịch của VIT-AYA và cũng là một hội đồng thành viên của VAR. Chúng em xin bắt đầu diễn đàn ngày hôm nay với một số thống kê về khu vực 7 từ bản điều tra dân số mới nhất. Đa số dân sinh sống tại khu vực 7 được xếp vào nhóm người có thu nhập thấp đến vừa phải, với thu nhập khoảng 79.000 hoặc là thấp hơn. 5% cho tới 19.9% dân số đang có mức sống thấp theo tiêu chuẩn của liên bang. 2/3 tổng gia đình nói được một ngôn ngữ khác tại nhà ngoài tiếng Anh. Trung bình chỉ có 37.4% hoặc thấp hơn người tốt nghiệp với bằng cử nhân. 53% là người đi thuê nhà và nơi ở đa số chật chội hơn, từ 10 cho tới 20%. Mặc cho những thống kê trên, khu vực 7 là nơi có nhiều gia đình kiên cường nhất. Họ là những người nhập cư đã xây dựng lại cuộc sống của mình ở đất nước này, mang theo niềm văn hóa ẩm thực và truyền thống của mình đến với thành phố này. Một ví dụ điển hình là khi Coyote Creek bị lũ lụt, người đã cùng nhau làm sạch và xây dựng lại khu vực này. Khu vực 7 là nơi có nhiều người Mỹ gốc Việt nhất so với những nơi khác trong thành phố. Đó là lý do tại sao các tổ chức cộng đồng người Việt cùng nhau tổ chức diễn đàn ngày hôm nay để tạo cơ hội cho người dân lắng nghe các ứng cử viên chia sẻ tầm nhìn của họ về khu vực 7. Chúng em rất quan tâm đến sự hiểu biết của các ứng cử viên về vấn đề người dân nơi đây phải đối mặt, đồng thời hiểu thêm cách họ sẽ giải quyết những vấn đề ấy như thế nào. VAR hướng về một cộng đồng người Mỹ gốc Việt mạnh mẽ và gắn kết, cùng nhau phát triển chất lượng cuộc sống cho tất cả mọi người. Chúng em sẽ huy động, biện hộ và thông báo cho cộng đồng những vấn đề quan trọng ảnh hưởng đến cuộc sống của chúng ta. Sự kiện ngày hôm nay là sự chung tác với các tổ chức sau đây đã hỗ trợ, quảng bá, tài trợ và chuẩn bị câu hỏi cho các ứng cử viên. Asian American Center of Santa Clara County, thành phố San Jose, International Children Assistance Network ICANN, People Acting in Community Together, PAC San Jose, Progressive Vietnamese American Organization, Vietnamese American Youth Association, Vietnamese American Bar Association of Northern California, Vietnamese Voluntary Foundation. Thank you. Cảm ơn mọi người.
So we are pleased to get started, and we will be introducing our moderator, who is Nick Kawada. He is a staff attorney with the Asian Law Alliance. Nick also directs the Civic Engagement Program and manages the community-based organization network that ALA heavily relies on for community outreach around the census and redistricting. His goals are to raise awareness around elections and local political issues, as well as increased language access at the polls. Nick is also in charge of registering new voters and working with the community to ensure the elections are fair and accessible to new immigrant communities. Based on his understanding of policies, we have asked Mr. Kawada to independently select the questions he believes is most relevant to District 7 in general and the Vietnamese American community in particular. So I'll pass the mic on to Nick.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? That's a good collective strength. Well, thank you for coming today. One of the most important aspects of my job is to integrate immigrants to our community. Now, I've personally learned a lot from my clients. A lot of these folks who are new to this country have had to struggle to become U.S. citizens, to register to vote, to learn a new language, to learn how to become part of this government here and learn how the government works out here. So I've learned personally a lot about how those folks can, how I aspire to be a better U.S. citizen from these folks. And I think a big piece of that today is thanks to the work by Vietnamese American Roundtable and the other folks who have collectively come around the table. Now, we forgot to mention, probably because they were the ones making the announcement, that we should also thank the executive board of Vietnamese American Roundtable, notably Mimi, who was just speaking, Maggie, Christine, Hui, and Tone, Kevin as well. Thank you guys so much for putting this together, because without your help, we wouldn't have had this opportunity. Now, I do want to begin with some more numbers, unfortunately, so hopefully you won't glaze over, but national statistics prove that Asian Americans are a growing part of our electorate. We had about 3.9 million voters in 2012, and that's doubled since 2000. We've been adding about 500,000 more voters every 4 years, so this is a continually growing part of our electorate that will need addressing. In 2012, only about 31% of Asian Americans and 26% of Pacific Islanders were actually contacted about the November elections in that year. So despite the growing numbers, we still lack that contact from our elected officials. And I think everyone who has come to the table today is proving that statistic wrong, that they are more than happy to come and talk to their community, their constituents, to find out what are the real problems and what's their thought process about in terms of solving those problems. So I applaud all of them for coming today. I do want to set some ground rules as well. So we're going to do a quick introduction, and every person here is going to get about 2 minutes. And I'm going to ignore that sign just briefly. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, I'm going to be a hypocrite and tell all of you, you cannot do that. but we're going to have all of you to a 2-minute introduction, and then we're going to actually have a question, which I'll kind of preface, and there's going to be about a 90-second response. Now, Maya, do you mind if I grab one of these from you? Now, all of the candidates here actually have these gray cards. These are rebuttal cards, and they are an additional 1 minute they can add to any sort of comments they want to make at the end of the question round. They can also hold on to those cards. And at the very end, in their closing, they can add time to their closing using these rebuttal cards. And the rebuttal cards add 1 minute each. So hopefully everybody can kind of abide by that. The cards in the back, as you see, I've unfortunately definitely noted already. The yellow card is a 15-second warning, and the orange card is a stop sign. So please heed those as well. All right, so I think without further ado, I think we'll get started here. Now, I do have to preface all of the questions that we will be talking about today were actually sent to us from the community. We are also, I believe, taking questions today as well. So if you do have questions, please make sure that they are sent to Christine over here. She's got pieces of paper, and we've got pens as well. All right, so the first question I wanted to ask is about immigration. So everyone in the Vietnamese community can trace their roots to an immigrant history. Oh, I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. I've already messed up. Yeah, we're going to do intros first. Thank you, Mon. So why don't we start with, we're going to start with Tam down here, and we're going to kind of pass down this way, okay?
Good morning. Welcome to District 7. I'm so proud and happy that you're here today. In fact, this is historic. This is the first time the Vietnamese American, with a young leader, stepped up and do something good to engage the community. So I appreciate that. I'm humble. 43 years ago, a lot of us came to America as a refugee, literally with a shirt on my back. And since for the 43 years, I never stopped one single day working. And then as soon as I got out of college, I never stopped one day of volunteering. I volunteered for the community. Therefore, when I was an engineer on the computer, I realized we need more help, legal help. So when the law school working at night, become an advocate for very people right here in the district. So 4 years ago, when the seat opened, those folks, those elderly, those disadvantaged, those immigrant people told me, Tam, we want to make you a permanent volunteer. So they sat me down, educated me, and urged me to take on the challenge. All my life, if I survive death and refugee, I take on challenge. So I did. And with nothing but their help, with nothing but those poor immigrants, we walked and walked and walked, and to everybody's surprise, we won the election. I want to continue that, to make sure that what we started on the voice, for the voice to the people, we can continue. So therefore, for the past 3.5 years, we made history. For the first time, we have a voice of the Vietnamese Community Center. We have achieved so many things. I turned around the Alma Community Center. We walked with the neighbors to drive away the human trafficking and the prostitution. And so my two key things is to keep the community safe and clean, as I have walked and picked up the trash for the last 3.5 years, and I will be honored to continue to complete the work we started. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. What a great showing. My name is Thomas Duong. I was raised here since I was 7 years old. Came here in 1975 with my parents. I attended Los Arbales Elementary School, Sylvandale Junior High, and Andrew Hill High School. So my slogan is, I'm from D7 and I'm for D7. I went to Santa Clara University, got a degree in political science. Then in 1992, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. I served in the Air Force until 2000 as a military intelligence officer. In 2001, I became a mortgage loan officer, and I've been in real estate financing for the last 16 years. The reason why I'm running, my dad was a teacher here on the east side. His name was Thầy Thắng. He passed away in 2004, but he taught in the east side for 30 years. My mom was a secretary. She worked for the Department of Fair Employment and Housing here, and she's retired now. And you could say the public service is in my blood, and now I'm really committed to being a public servant again. There's a reason why there are 6 challengers challenging an incumbent, probably in the history of San Jose politics. So there's a desire for change in this district. There's a lot of things that need to be changed. So my number 1 priority is affordable housing. We do not have affordable housing in this district. We don't have it in this city. And City Hall needs to make some changes to its general plan so we can really affect some change for our community, especially in District 7, which is a high needs community. The homeless issue here has been the worst it's been in my entire life living here. Those are my 2 top priorities. Obviously, as I walk around the neighborhood, I've knocked on 6,000 doors so far, and public safety is a huge concern for the residents in this district. And thank you. I went over. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Omar Vasquez. Thank you for hosting this debate. For me, it's an honor to run next to amazing people here, everybody, and to challenge Councilmember Thanh Nguyen. I'm also a volunteer as Councilmember Thanh Nguyen, engaged in the community, walking, canvassing, talking to people. Actually, I volunteer a lot in my neighborhood, around my neighborhood where I live. And I'm also a guy who's been advocating for different policies, trying to change the laws, engaged in working for over 3 years, demanding the city to allocate money for affordable housing. So because a lot of people are being displaced from their housings, and I see, like Thomas Duan say, more and more homelessness all the time. And 78% of the homeless are veterans. They are not getting their vouchers, their housing. They are living on the streets, on the creeks, and under the bridges. So, and also a lot of the policies that we've been fighting, pushing, and trying to increase better wages for the people so they can afford to live here. They couldn't go through the city council. It was stopped there. So because of the lack of leadership of the council members, and I saw that they were not paying attention. They were not doing the voting in favor of working class people. So I decided to stop supporting candidates. Once they get to the office, they turn their back on the people. So I decided to run. And I say to my friends, if we fundraise $5,000 without taking big money, without taking big corporation money, we have a campaign, and we fundraised over $6,000, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Maya Esparza. First off, I'd like to thank everybody here making time out of a busy Sunday, and of the organizations to give all of us this opportunity to come together because we all really care about our community. A little bit about me. I'm from San Jose. I have a record of public service for over 20 years in my community, some of it in government. I worked several years for Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, and some of it in nonprofit, including founding nonprofits. Where I see a need, I will go and meet it. I have served the community on the Franklin McKinley School Board, where we were able to do some really important work, even in a tough budget, by being smart and strategic. And I'm running because District 7 needs new leadership. Things have not gotten better, and we need someone that knows how to get things done at City Hall, how to build consensus in government, and how to work together with the community to get those things done. I'm here because, like you, I want to make District 7 stronger. I want to work together to do that. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Fleming. I'm running for City Council District 7. My daughter was the one screaming earlier. I think she was going, "Go Daddy!" So that's what I hope anyway. A child slid down the slide of the La Regione tot lot and cut his leg on a syringe. Our city has done nothing to address that issue since. We had a neighbor who had a mentally unstable and homeless person sleeping on her front porch, blocking her front door. She called for homeless response 9 times, and it took them 18 hours to finally respond. That's unacceptable. She's now moving out of the neighborhood. Our city is creating and enabling the problems that you and I are forced to deal with every single day. We ask them to do their job. We are met with resistance. We ask them to do it. Instead of yes, they say, we can't. That's not our responsibility. Right? That's not how it should be. When we ask for help, we are given the runaround. I'm going to change that. District 7 is you're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses. District 7 is my home. I love my neighbors. We are a minority district, but it doesn't mean that we should be treated as second-rate citizens. Our roads are the worst. Our crime is the worst. Our residents, we don't feel safe. Let's stop labeling each other. Let's throw aside our differences and let's unite and demand that we are treated as equals with respect. I do not quit. I get the job done. I'm the person that the city is most afraid of because I'm not owned by anybody. Not the labor unions, not the chamber, not the special interests. I will represent the people of our district, and I will make sure that we are treated equally. Thank you.
My name is Van Le, and I'm running to bring back honor and dignity to our community. Because many of former incumbent supporters came to me and said how much shame and dishonor that incumbent brought to our community, and they asked me to run. Besides that, the incumbent has used a dirty political tactic to accuse me as a communist, and I have to stand up for this type of bully and intimidation, especially as a Vietnamese woman. Please go to Today.com and watch the interview for fact check to understand more about the incumbent's broken promise and flip-flop decision, and later for my response. I believe that government needs to have a leader with ethic, honorable and patient and transparent, and who will listen to their constituent voice, build a consensus, and find a solution to work collaboratively with all stakeholders. I have been involved in the community for over 30 years, and proud to name a few, like a founder of Moon Festival since 1992, and was Vice President of WAC Norcal, and fought for mentor victim Daniel Pham shooting incident, and also involved Little Saigon San Jose Foundation as VP to fight to name a Little Saigon exit freeway. I have more experience as elected officer than any other candidates. I'm in my 8 years as a member of Eastside Union School District Board Trustee. My accomplishment on the board involved to save district over $1 million, believe I have fiscal responsibility. I'm close to achievement gap, and also that I championed the resolution to honor the Vietnamese South Republic of Vietnam and fundraiser for homeless students. I'm also pleased that every board member who I serve who has endorsed me for City Council, that this is the evidence of my ability to communicate, to work with everyone together to achieve consensus on the issue, to work collaboratively with parents, teachers, students, and type of leadership City Councils, District 7. My goal is fortunate to elect is we are focused in the community together to bring back honor and dignity. And San Jose will be my home now. We focus on communicating and working together to make community a great place to live and work and raise family. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Chris Lee. I'm a tax auditor and I'm running for City Council District 7. Trong 300 năm lịch sử của thành phố San Jose và 20 năm chế độ Việt Nam Cộng Hòa, 43 năm tị nạn cộng sản tại San Jose, chúng ta chưa bao giờ thấy một vị dân cử mang 2 ông cụ 90 tuổi đi ra tòa kiện 11 triệu đô la. 2 ông cụ này người già, hộ nghèo, khuyết tật, đi xe lăn thở bình oxy, nhận trợ cấp của chính phủ và phải lặn lội tới tòa để đương đầu với những cái vụ kiện 11 triệu đô vì bất đồng chính kiến. Không có một cái ông dân cử nào mà lại đi khủng bố một ủy viên học khu mà quay lén giới trẻ khi người ta tới hội đồng thành phố để phát biểu ý kiến của mình. Cái hành động tồi tệ này của một ông dân cử là cái nhục cho Việt Nam Cộng Hòa chúng ta. Việt Nam Cộng Hòa chúng ta là một chế độ nhân bản, khai phóng, dân chủ, pháp trị. Và đó là lý do tại sao mà Chris Lê tôi sẽ phải ra tranh cử trước nghị viên, là bởi vì quốc gia hưng dong, thất phu hữu trách, kẻ thất phu phải đứng dậy đáp lời sông núi. Thì tôi là con cháu HO5, ông nội Chris Lê tôi là Trung úy sinh ngữ trường quân đội Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Ông ngoại Chris Lê tôi là Nghĩa Phương Địa Phương Quân, Trung đội trưởng KT-32 Kon Tum. Gia đình tôi là lính đã tị nạn cộng sản và tranh đấu cho tự do dân chủ. Chris Lê là ứng cử viên duy nhất hỗ trợ hai người già, hai ông cụ 90 tuổi ra tòa để mà bảo vệ chính nghĩa của mình. Và tôi sẽ cố gắng dùng những cái khả năng của tôi, những cái sức lực của tôi, những gì tôi đã học được và đã lớn lên ở cái xứ này để cho phục vụ cộng đồng. Chúng ta không thể xây dựng cộng đồng mà giải phóng quê hương nếu mà chúng ta mất đi chính nghĩa quốc gia. Những người dân cử, những lãnh đạo của Việt Nam Cộng Hòa là phải chứng minh cho cộng đồng, chứng minh cho thế giới và chứng minh cho cả nước Việt Nam cái bản lãnh của một người lãnh đạo. Nghị viên Nguyễn Tâm đã thất bại, nghị viên Nguyễn Tâm đã là bất xứng. Tôi sẽ ra tranh cử để được xứng đáng là một người dân cử cho cộng đồng Việt Nam. Thank you.
So thank you very much for the introductions, everyone. And I did want to remind Chris that we do have a number of individuals here, including myself, who don't speak Vietnamese. So luckily for a lot of folks who do speak Vietnamese, we do have translation devices. I would ask the candidates if they could to, if they do speak in Vietnamese, that they spend half of their time also speaking in English so the rest of us can understand, because it's hard to moderate with something I don't understand. Anyway, so back to my first question, which is regarding immigrants here in District 7. I think we can all agree that immigrants are a large part of our community here, whether it's tracing your roots back to being a refugee as a Vietnamese, foreign Vietnamese citizen, or coming here as a farm worker, or along several different lines. We see the recent deportation and detention of Vietnamese residents has caused a fervor in our national policies regarding what it means to have status here in the United States. And while this is not new, we would like to ask more questions regarding what our local government is doing with regards to these undocumented residents. Specifically, the question I ask the panel is, in general, what is your assessment of the city's engagement with bilingual and immigrant communities? And furthermore, is there anything that you would change or improve in order to engage more immigrant communities? And I believe we lost the mic, so I'm going to... Thomas, so I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So I believe that DACA has been advertised as a Latino issue, but it's not a Latino issue. There are 14% of Asian Americans that are undocumented here in America. So, it's an issue that permeates throughout our community, and I believe that the city of San Jose has, maintained a stance that we are a sanctuary city. However, I don't think we've done enough in terms of following through on that statement. For example, Oakland, the Oakland mayor had the opportunity to warn us of advanced ICE raids coming into Oakland, but we had the opportunity to do the same thing in San Jose that we didn't do. So I think that's something, the ball was dropped there. And if we say we're a sanctuary city, then we need to act like we are a sanctuary city. In terms of engaging the community, I think having a center like this cultural community center is very important. We need open spaces for our culture to be engaged. However, this wasn't the community center that was promised to the Vietnamese community. It was Kelly Park over near Roberts Avenue. It's supposed to be 3 times bigger than this. We are the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam. And so our community deserves to have a community center that's equivalent to the size of our population. So I think there are steps in the right direction. City Hall's reviewed the plans for Kelly Park, but I think we need to put the pressure on there. There needs to be a strong city council person that really promotes this $46 million development at Kelly Park.
For over 5 years, I've been advocating for immigrants. I've been fighting and pushing the government, protesting. We created an alliance trying to push for President Obama to stop the deportations. A lot of people are being deported, and ICE is not here for our safety. ICE is here to fill their quota number. So they cannot deport everybody they can't. It doesn't matter if they are criminals or not. So what we've been pushing the city is to make sure the ICE and police, they don't cooperate. So but to allow ICE to go with a judge warrant. If there's a criminal, yes. If you have the judge warrant to prove that it's going behind the criminal, they can do their work and they can deport that criminal. But going, conducting raids to random people, to father, to working class people, that's not the way we should be doing things. We need to protect immigrants because this is, we are all immigrants here. I am an immigrant, everybody's immigrant. So, and if this is, that's why we are strong, and I'm the one who is embracing immigration in my logo. I say strange through immigrants because that's what it makes us great, all the immigrants here. And what I would do is allocate more fundings to defend immigrants when they are detained unfairly. Thank you.
Hi, so what can the city do, or what's our assessment? I think first of all, I wanted to talk about public safety and our immigrant communities. We are stronger when we trust each other, when we report crimes, when we answer the door, when the police calls to do an investigation. And immigration raids don't create the kind of environment that support that public safety. We are not stronger when we have closed doors in our communities and people are too afraid to call the police. So definitely I disagree with the raids. I support notification in the community of the raids as they're coming. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what the city can do. I think the city needs to become more diverse, and public safety is another great example of that, where we need a diverse police population, we need a diverse fire population. I used to work for the Red Cross. I've gone out on fire calls as a Red Cross worker and witnessed firefighters speaking Spanish, speaking in other languages that are there to work with people in the most difficult time of their lives. We need more people at the city to do that. We also need to ingrain more bilingual and bicultural outreach within the city departments, such as small business permits.
So I believe that if you're a good person and you're contributing to our society, you should be here. You should be an American. That is the dream. You know, if you've gone and committed a violent felony, I'm sorry, you wrote your own, deportation ticket. That's my stance. I believe that our city does a terrible job engaging our immigrant community, as noticed with Policy 630. I also believe that our residents are afraid to call the police because they're afraid of being deported or they're afraid of retaliation, depending on their cultural backgrounds. San Jose, contrary to what was said, is not a sanctuary city. Ask the San Jose Police Department, ask the city manager's office. We are not. San Jose Police Department doesn't have the resources to respond to the crimes that we have right now, so why should we allocate officers to help ICE with their raids? I don't believe in that. I believe that ICE has their own budget, they have their own agents, they should take out their, do their own enforcement. That's not the job of our San Jose Police Department. Now, Mayor Schaaf was mentioned. I believe that the job of Mayor Schaaf or a San Jose City Council member is not to impede or enhance a federal immigration operation. That's their responsibility. And I believe that what she did increased the chance of violent retaliation, putting the immigrant community at risk, putting our community at risk, and putting law enforcement at risk. Thank you.
I support the city of San Jose declaring itself to be a sanctuary city. I support Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf action about sharing information about upcoming ICE raid. I would do the same thing if I had similar information. But I also support our Chief Police Eddie Garcia, who has stated this department will not cooperate with ICE. We are a nation of immigrants, and I came to this country in 1975 as a refugee, and I believe we must support our immigrant populations. There must be a path of citizenship, and we must support policy that keep family together. And I think the current administration is doing with DACA program is unconscionable, and we must support the effort to solve the problem. But I believe that with the immigration issue is very nationwide, but this will affect a lot of immigrants in city of San Jose as well as in the county. So we need to have a good program to support. But we will condemn all of those immigrants that have those problems, just like if they were involved in the crime, then we're going to have to have those positions that really acted to keep all of those crime residents to stay away for the public safety. Thank you.
E pluribus unum. Out of many, we are one. District 7 has a variety of immigrants from other countries, Vietnamese, Latino, Filipinos, and many others people who call this place home. Now during the flood, the San Jose flood, we have seen the council member screaming, the Vietnamese community is being ignored. We want to hold my own press conference. And I said, holy cow, what about the Latino community? Aren't they suffer the flood too? And we have seen the delegation from Korea wanting to be a sister city, and the council was all mad. I want to make a motion to cancel all the sister city. And I say, holy cow, what about 60 years sister city with Okayama, Japan, 40 years of Veracruz and Guadalajara? You're going to count it off. If I were Mexican, I'd be filled with rage. Now, I visited numerous Latino organizations, and I have heard the Latino community need more representation in District 7, so that's why we're going to run to get the Latino council members. Say, holy cow, you got 5 Latino council members, you're going to need another 6 one. So the issue about District 7 is not about Vietnamese, it's not about Latinos or any other races. It's about having a leader who thinks in a way that represents everyone. That is the most important thing. You don't get into faction. You have to think like an American. Like I said, out of many, we are one. And I have a mindset that will represent all people, all races. Thank you very much.
Very briefly, I called that conference because District 7 was ignored. We flooded in Rock Creek, the conference was in District 3. So I rectified the record. I advocate for more sister city. They blame on no cost because of the shortage of money. I said, so why we just focus on few city? Why we revisit the whole issue? Anyway, on immigration, I think the city of San Jose did a very good job of reaching out, being balanced, most provided the safety, but also do not waste our scarce resources on immigration, on ICE raids. Therefore, 2 weeks ago, I held a town hall meeting at Maria Goretti Church where the Assistant Chief Police came and made it very clear. We assist, we help every which way we can, but we do not spend one single dime on the police, on the ICE raid. We stay out of it. That's federal jurisdiction. They have their own law to uphold, and that's their job. We focus on our safety. As a San Jose, I voted twice, and the district multiplied the funding for the Office of Immigration Affairs. I support and work with Siren, Law Foundation, Asian Law Alliance, and every people to help out. In fact, recently, we learned this current administration captured 3,000 Vietnamese immigrants who were before 1995. That's against the law. Therefore, I support the former ambassador's decision to resign, Ted Osius, on that basis of cracking down. Therefore, we will do more to help immigrants.
All right, thank you, candidates. I wanted to give the opportunity for the candidates to use the rebuttal cards. Does anyone want to use any rebuttal cards at this time? If you do, please raise your hand, and we will come and collect those cards. Okay. We'll move on to our next question then, our next round. So I think an important issue that we have seen in the national conversation that has then turned to a local conversation is regarding violence in schools and guns. Specifically this past month, hundreds of thousands of protesters marched on Washington, D.C. in the March of Our Lives movement, an event organized to highlight the issue of gun violence. Many demand that stricter laws be enacted to reduce access to these guns. However, gun proponents have pushed back that it is better to ensure that there are armed guards at our schools. So specifically, what approach would you support to ensure that our schools are safe, gun violence aside or included?
First of all, I oppose to armed teachers. We don't have budget to improve our education, our public education, and we want to arm teacher. I oppose to that. I don't think we should be allocating money to put more guns in the school. Yes, we need to protect our Second Amendment. We need to make sure we have the right to bear arms. We need to keep our guns, but we have to make sure that people with mental ill problems, they don't have access to guns. So they have to go through a background check. And also, we have to make sure the fully automatic assault weapons don't go to hands for criminals. We have to put a restriction on those weapons, but except for police officer and the military. They should be allowed, the police officer, they should be allowed to have their assault weapons and everything they need in order to fight crime. But we have to make sure that people, they don't have the fully automatic guns in their hands, especially like mental ill people. They need to be, they have a background. And then I really oppose to armed teachers. We don't have money to improve our education. However, we can allocate money to put more guns inside the schools. Thank you.
First, guns have no place in our schools, period. As a former school board member at Franklin McKinley, we worked on a lot of school safety measures. I personally worked on a land swap with the city so that we could secure Shirakawa School. So it started with securing our property, conducting active shooter drills, having the police force that is large enough. We had one school officer in the SJPD when I was on the school board. So the truth is, we need more than one thing. We need a stronger police force, we need a stronger mental health community, and absolutely I am opposed to armed teachers, and I do support I do support students speaking out. Having an engaged youth is a wonderful thing, and I cannot imagine why we would want to shut the door on our youth being active and speaking out and getting engaged in our political process. That's something we need more of and not less.
So I believe that we have a mental health crisis in San Jose, across our county and across our nation. And we need to open up health treatment centers, county-wide, like Agnew's, to help this issue. That's really the problem. You need to treat the disease, not the symptom. Guns in school, why don't we talk about guns with our park rangers who can't arm themselves and protect themselves in the creeks? That's what we need to focus on first. That'll help with drugs, that'll help with the mental illness problem that we do have. Let's start there. We also have limited ability for our students to get out their aggressions naturally. Contact sports have been shunned, things like football, things like wrestling, things like boxing. Where are our students supposed to get out their aggressions? Where are they supposed to voice their concerns? As a council member, I look into grants to create safe spaces for our students to get together in a group and maybe air their issues, talk in a safe space so that they're not retaliated against, so that they have a group to talk with and get these out verbally rather than through violence.
Well, talking about gun violence, I also marched with students and teachers in the last 2 weeks in downtown. So I can feel the pressure, and I feel that the momentum from our student, from our teacher. We need to watch out for the life of our innocents, students and residents. But I believe that we do support student protest gun violence, and I believe our gun laws need to protect the right to bear arms. But no one needs an AK-47 or other automatic weapons. We need background checks, and those with a history of mental illness should be prevented from owning a gun. In my district, we also have the report from each school about the safety procedure and safety report. We also hire a police officer, for each school, so they can have a better protection. And we also have a security. We have all of this protection that we can provide the best environment and also the most safe for our students. And I believe that when I elected as city council, I will work together with the school district, and I work together with all stakeholders and police department to really bring back the public safety for our students and for our residents. Thank you.
The founder of this country, they put the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, the most cherished freedom that we have in a free country. And they put the Second Amendment, the freedom to own guns. To do what? To protect the First Amendment. Had my people, the Vietnamese people, had access to sensible guns, we would never allow the Tet Offensive of '68. We would never allow ourselves to be massacred. 7,000 civilians massacred by the Viet Cong because we didn't have guns. We didn't have the opportunity to protect ourselves. We understand that there are people who abuse our freedom, using guns for violence, for terrorism, and all kind of stuff. We need sensible guns laws. We need less guns in school, not more guns. But we're people proposing to strip away the Second Amendment to make it safer. That's not going to help us be any safer because criminals, they don't respect laws. I support stronger background checks, reduce the numbers of illegal guns out in the street, having strict classes on gun safety before you can buy guns, a follow-up on guns that are missing, reporting within 24 hours those guns, so that people know what's going on there. And those automatic assault weapons, we need to ban them. You don't need all those machine guns to defend your freedom, but we do need sensible gun laws. Thank you.
Thank you. This school where teachers teach and students learn, and we need a very nurturing environment to provide for education. I believe gun safety is a terrible American tragedy. I'd rather have all the resources geared toward provided for police force, where the police can do their job of protecting our community, safe neighborhood, and guns, and schools is one of the places we need more support for police protection. As to the student speaking out, I totally support it. It's the whole basis of this country is standing up and speaking out. Therefore, I really praise the student and the teachers to stand up on the fighting against violence. Therefore, recently, we have talked with the South Sea Police Department to increase more another tier of safety officer we call the Community Service Officer, CSO, who will be at the school level to help more to protect with community safety and prevent all the shooting may happen. And therefore, I totally rather have the safety enforcement for the police, not in the hands of the people.
Well, I'm a military combat veteran, and I've fired the M16, the AR-15, the M60, and there's no place for that weapon in civilian society. So I'll just put it at that. In terms of public safety for our schools, we have a police force. Our population in our city is over 1 million, and we have a police force of 900 officers. And we're in a precarious position. So if we were to have an event like they had in Florida, I don't know if the city's prepared to react to something like that. So we are severely understaffed in our police force, and I know the mayor and the city's taking efforts to do that, to replenish the staffing of the police force, but it takes time. You know, you only graduate 100 or so officers per year, and those are 100 new rookies being introduced into the police force. I think the biggest concern for me in terms of public safety in our schools is the homeless issue. So, you know, when I was a kid going to school at Andrew Hill, we used to be able to go to Coyote Creek and collect our science experiments and do our bug collections. The kids can't do that anymore because it's too unsafe for them. You know, so to me, that's a bigger concern. You know, Jonathan was telling me, you know, or some people were telling me about the little leagues are thinking about canceling, and they've literally, you know, their fields are littered because of what's going on with the homeless issue. So it's got to be addressed.
All right, candidates, did anyone want to use a rebuttal card at this time? Anybody? Okay, moving on to our next question. Many of the candidates here have pointed out to the housing crisis and housing issues in local San Jose. And specifically, I wanted to look at rent control. So in July 31st, 2017 article, the Mercury News reported that the median rent in San Jose has increased 2% compared to the year before. In October 2nd, 2017 article, the Mercury News then reported that the median rent had increased another 2.5 from the year before. So obviously increases all around. And the last census showed that District 7 has a home ownership rate of only about 53%. So my question to you all is, does the city have an obligation to help the residents of San Jose afford to live here?
Yes, the city absolutely has an obligation to the people who have built our community into what it is, and to not just stay here, but to thrive. There are people that have children and grandchildren in the community that are leaving because they can't afford to stay. I think that we need opportunities for everyone, and that we as a community will be stronger for it. Rent control is one piece of a larger issue, right? So it's not the only item on the menu. What we need to do is build more affordable housing. What we need to do is address jobs. So it's one piece of it. And in terms of expanding rent control, we have to remember that there's something called the Costa-Hawkins Act at the state level that limits what we can do at the city. So I believe we need to concentrate on supply. Thank you.
So there's nothing in our city charter that states that the city's obligated to make prices affordable. However, I do believe that there is an obligation to provide for the well-being of our residents, and that includes affordable housing. The U.S. Constitution states, while property may be regulated to a certain extent, if regulation goes too far, it will be recognized as a taking. So what that means to me is that property owners have a constitutional right to be compensated for the use of their property, just as tenants have a right to have stable and a high quality of living. So by keeping what they just enacted, the 5% cap, that's a nice combination of both. It allows just compensation and affordable housing. So I believe another way, we need to increase housing. We need to make it easier to develop and easier to build. We need to streamline the planning, building, code enforcement, the permitting process to enable our developers to build. We have a housing crisis. Let's solve it by building more housing. Thank you.
Under our mayor leadership, we have brought many companies and jobs to San Jose, but we must continue that effort. But we realize that we are in housing crisis, and the price of skyrocketing, rent and soaring, and many of our friends, family, neighbors, and especially our children can no longer afford to live in a city where they grew up. In the general plan calls for 25,000 housing units to be built in the next 5 years, with over 10,000 units classified as affordable. But we must increase our inventory. We should encourage more mixed-use development, and we need to work with stakeholders in the community to look increasing height limit, encourage in-law unit construction as a source of affordable housing unit, and streamline the permit process to get this unit online as soon as possible. I also support expanding the RLO to include more units such as duplex and new apartment because the lack of housing inventory. And I support Senator Wieckowski bill making it easier to build in-law units as a potential source of affordable housing and increase our inventory. So by increase on house inventory, we can check the drastic price increase, and we'll make sure our children, family, and neighbor can continue to live in the city they come. Thank you.
As an elected leader, the number one quality is trust. You must be able to trust your elected leader. Council Tam Nguyen voted against affordable housing. Council Tam Nguyen voted against rent control. Council Tam Nguyen took so much money from real estate firm, construction firm, and any other firm who are against affordable housing. So how can we trust an elected leader who took so much money from special interests and talk about affordable housing? You're not going to make money selling affordable housing. If you're in real estate, the higher you sell, the more money you make. So that is the issue that we have to consider ourselves, the issue of trust. Now, I do believe that the government has an obligation to provide affordable housing. We might not spend money to build affordable housing, but we can make regulation, we can reduce zoning restriction, we can make laws, we can encourage investment, but we have a moral obligation to make available affordable housings. I advocate that we put aside those land commercial and turn it into allow property developer to develop those property, those sections to be affordable housing. But the number one issue here is that we must have trust. Trust in an individual who will honor his words, honor his pledges, and carry it out. If we believe he says he's going to do affordable housing, then he's going to do affordable housing. Thank you.
One more time, I've been attacked for the wrong fact. The records stand very clear. Last year, I was the one who cast the vote, who brought down the rent from 8% to compromise 5%. So therefore, I'm on my record stand for not only for rent control, but I mean to support affordable housing. The rent control is unfortunately only a remedial effort to respond to the real problem of lack of housing. For 3.5 years as council, I asked the staff, all with the housing department, the rent control department, we need to address the real issue of lack of supplies, of more building more for housing. Unfortunately, the Sound City Plan and Vision 2040 have reduced the housing construction because we need to preserve the land for the business tax base. Therefore, I support Senator Wiener. A bill recently been out, now being prepared to provide cities that sounds there to build more denser, cheaper, smaller rental units along the corridors of the transit, like Monterey Road and so forth, because that's what we really need for the future. And I support the secondary unit, the in-laws unit. In fact, I'm the one who support it. We only have 200 applicants. We need more people to build extra units. So therefore, the issue of housing is bigger, and we are pushing work to that on the partnership of non-profit and organization. The rent control is not the solution.
I would refer to the incumbent's voting record on the Renaissance project as a nay to affordable housing. I don't think that statement is accurate, what he just stated. In terms of rent control, I believe the city has a moral obligation to provide every opportunity for its residents to live here. The flaw is in the city's general plan. Okay, there's a document or a reference to urban villages to build higher density, along major transit corridors. However, our zoning is all for commercial. So right now, the city can't accommodate the plan to add additional housing units. You want rent control, the best way to do it is to flood the supply with affordable housing. And we need the city to approve developer plans to build affordable housing in our areas. For example, the Valco project. There's a developer who used Scott Wiener's Senate Bill 35 to fast track the development, and they put in a plan to put in half affordable housing units in that development. I mean, I think it's brilliant. I think the residents of Cupertino probably aren't going to be too happy about it, But I think the quickest way to bring affordability back to San Jose is to change the general plan. Let's put some pressure on City Hall so we can start building some affordable housing units.
I don't want to attack Councilmember Tan Nguyen. I respect you a lot, but yes, we brought rent control because, Councilmember, you were the swing vote who stopped affordable housing, voted against affordable housing. So, yeah, rent control is not a solution. It's just something to make sure we have tenants a protection until we have the source of the money to build affordable housing. So we need to stick to the 2040 general plan, but with the smart growth. So where it allocates money to build commercials, businesses, but on top of that, apartments. So we need to fight with demand and supply. We need to make sure we have enough apartments so tenants, they can choose to live in a complex with this maybe smaller and cheaper and something more better. So we need to have these supplies, this demand, because if you don't build more apartments, then everything is gonna go higher and people are leaving San Jose, or they are living packed in one apartment, 2, 3, 4 families. Right now, when I'm door knocking, I see the living room is becoming into another bedroom. And that's creating a high density problem, parking problems in our issues, and also garbage in our streets. And for the last 3 years, I've been working on these issues on affordable housing and making sure tenants and working class people, they have the right to live here and at least they can afford to stay here. And I ran out of time. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to recognize Tam for 1 minute, please.
Very briefly, Mr. Thomas Dong mentioned the 2500 Center Road Renaissance. In fact, this issue that I agree with Jonathan and Van Lee who are opposed because it's not affordable housing. It's building for the homeless to stay there. So therefore, not me, but all the residents oppose it. Therefore, I support affordable housing for the people, but not to bring more homeless to center the road. So please correct the record. That's why we opposed the Center 500 as the way that we design, not for the people who apply for housing. None of us, nobody can apply for that. Only $63 million to build 160 units for selected homeless from outside, not to resolve our problem. That's why I oppose that. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to recognize Van for 3 minutes.
Well, first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you, the organizing committee, and also the moderator, Nick. I have to leave early because I have a fundraiser event which is happening right now at Grand Fortune Restaurant. And I already mentioned that earlier with the organizing committee that I cannot stay the whole time. And I want to use my rebuttal cards for that. Is that 3 minutes? Right, okay. For my last remark. So I think if we share that, fair and share that, I will send my last closing remarks. I want to say that this is opportunity for everyone to understand about each candidate. And I really want to say rebuttal with the question that Mr. Tam Nguyen, incumbent of City Council, mentioned about the 2500 Center Road. The project was not transparent. And I'm a neighborhood with Delbert and also David. We fought for that project because the process was not transparent. And we came to the City Hall and really we voiced our opinion, and that's the time that Tam Nguyen changed their opinion. I also want to say that I've been involved in the community for 30 years, and you can look into my track record. I came in 1975 without one word of English. I worked very hard, earned my graduation of San Jose State University, and become a successful business owner. And I devoted my time as the Eastside School Board trustee, 8 years right now. So I believe that I have the best candidate and also have experience to take the District 7 as the new leadership for District 7. And I also want to mention that I will bring the leadership and collaboratively approach to the City Council. I want to focus on public safety, housing, homeless, and job creation, and also for Vietnamese projects. And I believe that we all work together as all stakeholders. We want to have the best thing for District 7. And I also want to say, everyone, if you want to look into my website, www.vonley2018.com. I want to say something in the Vietnamese also, because I know that a lot of audience probably would not really reach out as much and would not understand this forum. Vâng Lê xin cảm ơn sự hiện diện tất cả của quý vị, và Vâng Lê cảm ơn ban tổ chức đã cho Vân Lê có cơ hội lên ngày hôm nay. Vân Lê là một ứng cử viên sáng giá đã phục vụ cộng đồng trên 30 năm nay, và Vân Lê hy vọng rằng là tất cả quý vị nhìn thấy được những gì của những các ứng cử viên và bỏ phiếu cho Vân Lê. Quý vị có thể vào trong website của kalitoday.com để thấy rằng là những diễn kiến của nghị viên Nguyễn Tâm đã nói về những cái project, những cái công việc đã làm, và cũng như là của nói về Vân Lê Flip Flop. Và xin cảm ơn. Thank you. I don't have enough time.
All right, we would like to recognize Thomas.
This is in rebuttal to Councilmember Tam Nguyen's comment. He mentioned that he didn't want homeless in his neighborhoods. Well, I hate to tell the incumbent, but there's homeless in our neighborhoods. And the Renaissance Project was one way to house them. The homeless are a public safety hazard for our children going to school. They're tying up city services for our police force. They're answering half their calls due to homeless problems. So I think the Renaissance Project was a permanent supportive housing project. There are Measure A funds that the county can provide. It was all, paid for. It's just something that would be good for our community. It's something that I think the candidates here have fallen behind as well to support. We just feel like the homeless issue is an issue that needs to be solved. Kicking them out, calling Caltrans and having them come back is not a solution. And I think you've seen that time and time again for the last 3 years. So let's do something about it.
All right, we would like to recognize Chris for 1 minute.
Once again, it's the issue of trust. Council Tam Nguyen and Omar Vasquez were protesting together against high rent. And after he voted against rent control, tens of thousands of dollars were flushed into his campaign fund. Why is that? Because it was bargained at a good price. The next 4 years, all those real estate folks, all those apartments, they can sleep tight at night because Council Tam Nguyen will make sure that affordable housing will be kept in check. That is the fact. You're not going to stand protesting and then you vote it again. We can see it clear as day. District 7 council seat is not for sale. And we have seen clearly it was purchased for a good price. Thank you.
We've got one more from Jonathan for 1 minute.
Thank you. So on the 2500 Center Road project, I just want to make sure that the record is set straight. 162 units, 320 people, all chronically homeless individuals with mental illness, addiction issues, drugs, and alcohol, placed right in the middle of our neighborhoods, right in the backyard of our residential community. 162 units, 320 people. MIT PhDs have studied this, and they've shown that any facility with 53 persons or more for the chronically homeless will impact our community, will increase crime by 30%, will increase violent crime by 40%. We can't have this near our schools. I was the one that brought this to the attention of our council member who originally voted in favor of the project. After we showed him my research, he changed his vote. But it was too little, too late. He should have read the issue, he should have read the project, he should have been up to speed on it. He wasn't, he let us down. Thank you.
So it's very clear to me that the housing issue is a very pertinent one for our community. So I'm going to actually continue that conversation with regards to our next question, and this is actually from the crowd today. Does the increasing supply mean an increase in population? And if so, what are the impacts on local traffic and cars here in the area?
Could you restate that question, please? Thank you.
So does the increased supply of housing mean an increase in population? And if so, what are the impacts traffic-wise to the region?
Well, that's a good question. You know, who knows what it's really going to mean? If we build more housing, are people who are already here going to be housed, or are we going to bring in people from other areas of the county and the city and our country and the world into District 7 and into our city? I don't know. I don't think anybody here is qualified to answer that question and to say yes affirmatively or no affirmatively. You know, if we have more people here, if let's just say more people do show up in District 7, let's say we get 10, 20,000 more people, will it impact our traffic? Absolutely. Yes, it will. We don't have a good public transportation system. Our VCA doesn't take us to where we need to go, right? It doesn't take us to the airport. It doesn't take us to our jobs. So why would building high-density units along a VTA corridor actually take us, help traffic? It won't. We have BART coming into the city. That's going to disrupt a lot of homes, potentially. High-speed rail is definitely going to take out over 300 homes in District 7 and 300 businesses. I sit on the working group for that. That's a major concern. That's a major issue. Traffic is a major issue. We need to improve our public transportation system and get people out of their cars and into public transportation. Thank you.
District 7 in San Jose is a good place to live. So that's why people all over the world, all over the country, want to come here to start families because we have good jobs, we have good weather, hopefully we got good government. But more people means more traffic jam, more wear and tear on our roads, more demand for goods and services. So there's one thing we can't do is that we cannot deny people access to our city. If people want to come here, we need to open our arms and welcome here. But we need to make sure that our infrastructures is in place to serve those folks. Public transportation, we need to find a better way to improve our public transportation. We need to find a way to serve our community by using online systems so that they don't have to spend their time at City Hall getting permits, applying for a business license, costing their valuable times. We need to make sure that we have a public safety system that addresses the growing population, that reduces crime, and to prevent congestions. So I openly welcome all those who want to call District 7 their homes, and I will work hard to make sure that this will be their homes, and all the systems, all the goods and services that the government provide will help them build a family here. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, the housing issues always go in hand with the transit problem. Therefore, San Jose City is standing very strong, opposing a misleading project on the east side on Evergreen. We'll build another 1,000 homes there without regard for the CEQA, for transit impact. The new policy that we're pushing for, along with the Senator Scott Wiener project, is to rely on public transit. The new bill of the BART, up the high rail speed and everything. Therefore, it would help reduce the cost. In fact, I'm happy to announce to you, electric bicycle is qualified for the bike lane because people like me who cannot bike much, we can rely on electric bike. So for the future younger generation willing to ditch the old clunker and take public transit, use less car but more alternative, just like bicycle or scooters like we do in downtown now. Therefore, new housing will respond to the overwhelming need right now. This is correct. But we work with the transit planning, we spur organization to make sure it's urban, and we do it intelligently. Thank you.
Look, our transportation system was built to move cars and not people. So
We need to do something about that. And I think Mayor Liccardo's started on the project with the Diridon project. That's going to be kind of like our Grand Central Station for downtown San Jose to bring more commuter cars into the city. I think that's a huge development. It's something that's absolutely necessary. But in regards to the question about increasing supply, is that's going to have a strain on our system? Well, it already is a strain on our system. So we cannot keep up with the jobs to housing ratio that we have in our city today. We need to build more high density housing along major transportation corridors. It's an absolute must. The general plan, once again, I keep referring to it, but the city needs to adjust the general plan to accommodate this. So that's why, just with my 16 years of experience in real estate financing, I feel like that we need some leadership in City Hall to really drive this development, to really push for high density housing to go along. We cannot have the urban sprawl that we have right now. It will not accommodate what we're doing in this city. So.
It's really good to hear that you guys have really good opinions about how to change things. When BTA proposed the sales tax increase in 2015 to bring BART to San Jose, me and my friends, we read the project, and it said nothing about improving public transportation. So we went to the BTA board and we demand the BTA board to allocate $1 billion to improve public transportation. So it took us 1 year because they didn't want to listen to us. So it took us 1 year for us to get only 50% of that, $500 million. But so we had to serve it transit riders. We had to go to the bus stop. We had to hold meetings like this, big with 50, 100. The last one was 200 people in order for them to listen to us. So because our official electeds or elected officials, they take so much money from corporation, from big oil, from gasoline, the oil industry, insurance, and big corporations. They don't want to do changes because they need to spend highways to have more cars. They don't want to do these changes. So I've been already doing a lot of issues on housing, on the smart growth, opposed to the evergreen housing. I mean, they call it housing, I don't know why, because that's going to create more problems. And now with Google coming to San Jose, it's going to create more problems. So the solution is infrastructure. We need to build more infrastructure. So in order we can open the arms to the new people who's coming here. And Google is going to bring 20,000 more people to San Jose.
And I can add a minute. Okay. So this is a great question. And so we are all in agreement that we need more housing in San Jose. I think we need to work together to build the flexibility on the council to do that. The current council has actually taken a very hard line against that kind of flexibility. So we need somebody on the city council to be able to work to build consensus and build a majority to do that. Because building housing along Monterey Road, yes, we can use Scott Wiener's bill, but we are also dealing with our current zoning issues and the current plan that won't allow us to do that. And we need the flexibility to do that. And yes, we need to address traffic. I want to do a traffic study all the way down Tully Road from Kirtner and 87 into Evergreen to span 3 council districts and really take a deep dive into that. I support bus rapid transit down Monterey Road and bus rapid transit down Tully Road because we have a lot of cars now because there are so many families crammed together into housing, but we need a combination of housing and transportation solutions. And as far as Measure B, the transportation bill in 2016, I'd really like to acknowledge the leadership of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group that really drove that bill through, that didn't just include money for public transportation. I have an extra minute. I gave him the extra minute. She's dancing back there. That didn't just add money for public transportation, but that bill added money for streets, for street repair and maintenance. we need somebody on the council that's going to fight to get our slice of that pie, because the fact is, a lot of the streets in our neighborhoods have not been maintained. And we all know that once it gets past a certain point, you can't really fix it. You have to go down and start again. So we need the two issues working together, but the bottom line is we need to be smarter when we do add the infrastructure, because District 7 needs some major infrastructure investment. Thank you.
So I think, unfortunately, we only have time for one more question, and I am going to ask that the members keep it brief so we can get out on time here. But the last question I have is regarding public safety. You know, the issue of police shootings has been a part of the national discussion for years, especially here in San Jose. And the San Jose PD has had its own history of racial bias and violence. The use of force by the police has been a national-wide issue, including California. For the Vietnamese American community here in particular, the death of Cao Bích Tran and Daniel Pham at the hands of the SJPD were particularly difficult to comprehend. So my question is, as the SJPD continues to rebuild its police force, is there anything that should be done to ensure that police officers can be effective in protecting and serving our communities while maintaining our trust, especially in communities with limited English proficiency?
Public safety is a very important issue in District 7. But we got to understand that we are a diverse district with lot of immigrants living in District 7. So we need to hire, recruit, train, put more police officers, community service officers who are fluent in a language or who are able to understand and serve that segment of the community. In addition, I believe that we should increase the number of community service officers who can take burglary report, who can go out and do administrative stuff, so we have more police officers who are in the field to do patrol, to respond to more violent crimes. But we have seen that we have built our police forces, but we have not increased substantially the numbers of officers who can speak an additional language in Vietnamese or in Spanish. We need to work on that. Also, we need to address the mental illness. Most of these shootings happen because the persons needs to require not a violent approach, not a forced approach, but a more psychiatric approach, so that we don't have to shoot. So I would propose that we invest in mental health training, psychiatric training, to ensure that those individuals are served, are protected, that we don't need to use guns to solve the issues. Thank you.
15 years ago, July 13, 2003, a young tiny woman in the kitchen was shot and killed within 3 seconds of responding. The news was she was only the cleaver. I was there. It was not a cleaver, it's a fruit peeler. I went to the store, I bought the peeler, I demonstrate, and I show it and change the dialogue. So that it pushed me into the advocacy of less violence from police. Therefore, right after that, the police sounds, they did change and they improved. I commend them for that. But still, we have a long way to go. I do agree. In fact, I advocate for and double the volume of the community service office CSO. I would like to quadruple that more, that relieve the armed officer from routine work. But I do support more. I agree that the sounds, they should be more diversified, retain and recruit and retain more people with language ability, cultural training, and mental health education. Therefore, this is on the right direction, and the chief has committed. They will continue. So therefore, I think we're on the right track. We're not there yet, but I would love community to stand up. Please call, report, and stand up, request for more San Jose PD. I think we together we do better for community safety and also for the safety of the situation where we diffuse it instead of violence. Thank you.
I think communication is absolutely important in our multicultural environment. I think the incumbent hasn't done enough in terms of, maintaining a line of communication with the Southern Division Police Captain. As I knock on 6,000 doors, I hear from the residents, and It's unacceptable what's going on here. We need more response time. We need better police services to our community. There are residents and neighbors that are really wanting to leave the area because they don't feel safe. So in terms of having a stronger police force, I think the most important part is to engage our police force, have more communication between our police officers and our community, not just a coffee with a cop, but like true engagement with our police officers. I think that will create better understanding between the communities. Obviously, we need strong recruitment for more Vietnamese-speaking police officers. I know there was a big push for that 10 years ago, and we need that again. So I think, the police captain's been doing a really good job in terms of conveying, police treatment of individuals. So I'm not going to address that, but I am going to address the need for our district to get more services to our district.
Tell you what I'm doing right now, and what I've been doing for the last 5 years. I live in they call it the ghetto area. When we don't see the helicopter in 2 or 3 days, we kind of got surprised. It's like, whoa, we haven't got a crime in 2 days or 3 days. It's like, it's weird already, right? So, people were demanding for more police officers. We called Captain Mata. Before that, Larry Escabel, Chief Larry Escabel, and Eddie Garcia, we asked them, why are you guys not responding to the 9/11 phone calls? They said, because we are short staffed. We are short like 600 police officers. So that's why we decided to canvass that area, whole meeting with police in the community. Like Thomas Juan was saying, we need to engage. Yeah, we're doing that. Richmond did it, and Richmond is a really diverse community, and they lowered the crime by 70% and 0 police incidents. So that's what I'm doing right now in my neighborhood, inviting police officers, inviting the people, trying to work together, cooperate. We are short staffed, but at the same time, we've been asking people to vote yes for Measure F so we can hire more police officers, so we can improve our safety in our community. We need our police officers, not community officers, to fight crime. We need more police officers patrolling our neighborhood, but at the same time, we need to keep them accountable. Nobody is above the law, so we have to make sure we work together and they understand we are working class people, and our police officers have to be diverse too. It has to represent, it has to look like the community they're representing or they're serving.
I'm going to add a minute. So community policing is very near and dear to my heart. So I mentioned I'm from San Jose. My family's from not originally from San Jose. They moved here in the 60s. And we're really active in establishing district elections, which we're enjoying today, and community policing. San Jose used to be a very different place where community members used to have to follow the police and document things. And by having community leaders, religious leaders, and elected leaders come together, we created this community policing model in the 80s. And my own experience with it, I used to manage an after-school program on Willow and Vine back in the 80s. It was a long time ago. And we had a drug dealer and pimp above us. And I would go and I would talk to the police officer that covered our area, and he'd say, too bad, you chose to be here. Right? So as he retired and the new guy came on board, he actually worked with us, and we'd say, this is what's going on, this is when it's happening, so that he could get the information to act on it. That is community policing. Today, fast forward to 2018, our police officers are so short-handed, they don't have the time. I have an extra minute. Yeah.
I just want to confirm. So we're going to actually have Jonathan speak, and then you'll get your minute after that.
That we don't have people to respond to the calls. They don't have the time to sit down and have lunch with some people because they're managing all of the emergencies that are going on that lead to 20 and 40-minute long wait times for emergencies. So I'll go ahead and postpone and take my next minute.
Thank you. So I personally believe that our San Jose Police Department, they care about our community, they care about our residents, all of us, regardless of what we look like, what gender we are, what ethnicity we are. That was demonstrated by the last meeting that they had at the Washington Community Center. I was the only District 7 candidate to attend that. We had Chief Garcia, we had Commander of the Western Division, Tommy Troy there. We also had about 40 of our San Jose police officers in attendance. And that meeting was specifically to address the concerns of the residents about how the police treat our citizens, how they treat people in San Jose. They sat us down in small groups and they allowed us to open up our hearts and tell them exactly how we felt. Some people, condemned them and said they were terrible and they were brutal and they were mean. Most of the people in that room said, thank you very much. You've been very compassionate, you've been very helpful, and by listening to us, we expect real change and continued change. We have very progressive policies in our police department. That's evident by San Jose having a tactical considerations policy, L2602.5, in the police duty manual. Look it up. It shows how they are supposed to engage, when there's a crime, what level of force is used. That's very progressive. No other department has that. Well, some do. San Francisco has that. I take that back. But very little departments do have that, and they have that because they care about us. Now, the problem is they're understaffed. District 7 is home to Police District Lincoln. We have 33% more crime than anywhere else in the city. 16,000 calls for police response every year. 4,000 more than anywhere else. We have 1 extra police officer to deal with that for a total of 7 officers to deal with 16,000 crimes. That's why we need more police and we need to support them. I love our cops. Thank you very much for their service and dedication to us.
Okay, so I get my second minute. So what I was going to say in terms to add about community policing and what we need to do as we recover from the lingering impacts of Measure B in our communities. So 2 things. One, I think that the most important thing that we can do as a community is to attract and retain well-qualified, highly educated, highly trained police officers in our community. That's number 1. And San Jose has a very high bar. And in order to do that, we need to become the type of community that those people want to work in and not go work in Mountain View or Campbell, where they frankly have it a lot easier, right? The other thing is, I think we need to really look at diversity in hiring. We need to have a workforce that looks like our community, that in fact lives in our community, which is a huge issue because many of our city staff, including first responder staff, can't afford to live here. So we need to start looking at some of the things that we can do to develop our police force and train them as we respond.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm going to look to the executive staff. Christine, I'm looking at you. I've been given the opportunity to ask one more question. Are we okay? So sorry, everybody. We go just for one last one. I would ask the candidates respond with only 1-minute responses. And this is a very pertinent question because it concerns the building we're currently in. What is your vision for the Vietnamese American Community Center, and how do you intend to accomplish that vision?
Thank you. In fact, I'm humbled and honored to welcome you to the Vietnamese American Community Center, where I advocate, and for the record, it is right here, not over there, it's right here, because it was closed before, it's not used. So turn to a good use like today. This is historic. Therefore, I will continue to seek funding to improve what we have here, and without a burden to the city. So we am advocating for a very modest fund of $6 million to make full use of this old facility right here, where we have our home for the first time, and we'll be happy with it. It's a good start because we don't want to overburden the city, and that's how we can work together for the betterment of everybody, not just for Vietnamese American, but for everybody in all. Thank you.
I think our community deserves something bigger than this community center. I think what was promised to us, 10 years ago wasn't promised to us. And Kelly Park has a fantastic spot next to the Vietnamese cultural garden there, and we really deserve something like that. It's, we are the we are the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam, and the redevelopment agency money dried up. So as council member, I'm going to seek private investment from donors in order to achieve that. I know the city has its budget, but there's, you need some outside of the box thinking. I think that's one way to help, get the conversation going to get a bigger community center. So that's my goal as council member, to seek private investment and get some partnerships so we can get a bigger community center.
Well, I agree with Councilmember Tan Nguyen and Thomas Duong. We need to make sure the community center is fully funded and stays open. Make sure they don't run out of money. The question is, how are we going to do that? Are we going to continue taxing homeowners? I mean, we are sick already. Every year we get tax to homeowners for everything. When the city wants money, they tax homeowners. So the reason I'm running without taking corporate money, the reason I want to have a grassroots campaign and being supported only by the people is because I want to represent people, and we need to get the money from big corporations that are not paying their fair shares. So we need to tax corporations, and at the same time, it is unfair, right? The corporations are this unfair labor with the small local businesses, because they have to compete with these big corporations. So we need to start taxing corporations in order we can have the money to fund our services and also our community centers.
So the community center and cultural center was a plan that had been in place for many years, and a lot of people had worked hard to attract public and private investment, and that had stalled in a few years, and I support a really vibrant hub. I have seen what it takes at the Mexican Heritage Plaza to have a vibrant hub where you have classes, you have events, you have theater projects. It's a beautiful thing to have a vibrant community center and cultural center in our neighborhoods. So I support getting private investment as well as public investment to add and build that kind of vibrant hub here in District 7.
So I believe that it's important that the Vietnamese community has a destination to celebrate their culture, their traditions, and their history. On January 9th, 2018, the City Council approved $6 million towards refurbishing this community center. They also reserved an option for $41 million by 2022 to build a facility up by Kelly Park, a massive community center. I believe our city needs to look at both of those options and say, pick one. Are we going to do a $6 million project or a $41 million project? And if we're going to go $41 million, well, we need to get private money. We don't have $41 million in our city budget to allocate to another building, to another community center, when we have roads and streetlights and potholes that are problems, when we don't have police officers in this area to make our city safe. That's what we need to focus our public money on. But as council member, I'm going to make sure we get that private money so that we have a true building and a true place to call home here in San Jose for our Vietnamese community.
My vision for the Vietnamese Community Center is a place that openly welcoming everyone, not just Vietnamese, everyone. The council member have said that he wants this place to be a welcoming place, but we have seen that a couple months ago, Ms. Van Lê had a press conference here, and his people came and started, get out of here, Van Lê, get out of here, Van Lê. We've seen senior citizens said, we're not District 7, we're afraid to come here. And we have seen myself included in front of the council president at the Turley Library when he kicked me out of the meeting. Council member has repeatedly chased people away from the Vietnamese Community Center. That is not the actual vision. You've seen the Mercury News, you've seen the video clip. This is not the vision that we envision for the Vietnamese Community Center. I am committed to making this place where your tax dollars, you own these buildings. Everyone, it belongs to everyone, not just Vietnamese, Latino. And I pledge no one will be chased away from this Vietnamese community center. I will not allow it. Thank you.
I'd like to give Tam 1 minute.
Again, my apology for my friend just used a false and a wrong record and attacking me was not correct. Look, Your presence here today says it all. I thank you for coming. I welcome you all, and I will make this a home. In fact, I fought for it. In fact, my record, I'm the one who declared before to advocate for this center to be open. I'm glad and proud. Thank you, leadership, for making it open. I will make it open, and it's your home for everybody to use. Today is a great event, historic. I appreciate, and we continue to do so. And I judge that you will judge. I ask that you will judge on my record instead of distorted facts as an untruth. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, candidates. So now we're going to be moving to the closing phase. So just for the timekeepers in the back, we will be speaking for 2 minutes plus the number of cards left over in the possession of the candidate. So for Tam, I believe it's 1, and then how many do we have you for Tom? You have 2, Thomas, and then you got 3 for Omar, 1 for Maya, 2 for Jonathan, and then 2 down there at the end. Okay, so hopefully you guys got those numbers. We need it one more time? Oh, okay. Yeah. So Tom, so how many do you have? We have 1. Oh, 3 minutes altogether. That's correct. Let's see here. 1 second. And then Thomas, we have 2 extra cards, so that's 4 minutes total. And then Omar, we have 3, right? So that's going to be 5 minutes total. Maya's got 1, so that's going to be 3 minutes total. Jonathan's got 2 cards there. Is that right, Jonathan? Okay, 2 cards, so it's going to be 4 minutes total. And then Chris, you have 2, so it's going to be 4 minutes total at the end as well. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the timekeeping part. Let's move on to the closing.
Thank you so much. Again, welcoming you to the very first historic Vietnamese American Community Center, where the center was closed, not being used by the city, but I reopened it and welcome you all. For 38 years of volunteering, and I still can continue to volunteer, I advocate for the working families and the disadvantaged. Therefore, I am available 24/7. My cell phone's on everybody's list. In fact, more than that, I'm the only one city council who opened the field office center right here. Right here, I have met, I have listened to many residents. My office is right here, available to you, and on my cell phone too, so I can available anytime. I've organized more cleanup than anybody in history of San Jose combined. In fact, just had one recently, yesterday at YB High School, because I believe in the cleanliness of the city, that we can work together. I believe in safety, therefore, I advocate for the San Jose City Police are replenishing with, from now to the end of the year, another 150 new officers. I advocate for the double of a community service officer, and I want it more. And more than that, more activities everywhere that I can be there with community. I thank a lot of volunteers, a lot of people step up together. We survived the flood, we survived the fire. I helped part of advocacy to bring in actual deliver private money, not just talk, but actually deliver $5 million to help the flood victim. I advocate for and deliver a brand new home for the 5 victims of the mobile home park fire in last August. So I continue to be an advocate, to be a volunteer in the community. I would like to seek your support for me to finish what I've started. That is to keep the district, an advocate for district, to be safe and clean. And therefore, today, again, I really thank you for coming. It's very historic. I thank you, VAR, for taking up the leadership. Thank you for all volunteers. And I remember this day for another 10 years down the road, for the history that we together are making history. This is the first time ever we have this civic debate on leadership. I welcome my friends to continue what we have done before, and I would like to support you in the future to continue what we do, advocate for our community, advocate for diversity community, and I welcome you all to our home, the Vietnamese American Center, the first one ever, and thank you for your support.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Vietnamese American Roundtable for hosting this. This has been phenomenal. I take great pride in seeing the younger Vietnamese generation get involved in our community. It's really refreshing. Groups like VAR and Vivo getting involved, and I think it's time for my generation, the 40s and 50-year-olds, to step up. We were raised younger to grow up and become engineers and doctors, and so becoming politicians just probably wasn't on our plate from our parents back then. So this is, I'm stepping up because I feel like there's a need for leadership in our district, not just in the city of San Jose. I'm running not as a Vietnamese candidate, I'm running as a candidate from our community. I was raised here, I grew up here, I went to school here. When I go talk to residents, I knock on some doors at Sylvandale and I tell them I played kickball right on the very house that they live on right now. It's, and when I knock on doors, I greet people and I talk to my moms of students that I went to school with. So it has a very personal tie to me to be able to, vie for this seat and represent this district, because this is where I come from. I'm very proud to say that I grew up here and that I went to school here. And I really want to represent our community as a whole. It's been too divided. There's talk about Latino and Viet, but the people on my staff, half of my staff are Latino and half are Viet. So we are trying to build coalitions. We're trying to bring this community together. It's just been too, divisive over the past. And I think that, it's time for leadership to build coalitions. I've been supported by the Chamber of Commerce, but the people on my staff are all progressive. My campaign manager is progressive. I've been endorsed by Margaret Abe-Koga, who's a progressive leader, Yoshu Chida, who's a legend in San Jose, Wes Mukayama, who's also a legend in San Jose in terms of fighting for social justice and people's rights. So I'm trying to build coalitions so that we can come together as a community, we can tackle the problems that are facing our district today, and they're pretty big ones. Affordable housing, people talk about it, but how do we really fix it? So it just isn't going to be fixed overnight, and the homeless issue isn't going to be fixed overnight, but we cannot brush it under the rug. We cannot call Caltrans to have them move away, because they'll just come right back. We need real, tangible solutions. We need leaders who are courageous, who will not crumble to special interests from people. We need someone who represents our community that's from here, that's raised here. So I'm asking for your support. I've committed myself to service in the military for 10 years, and I want to commit myself to public service now. So thank you for your time. Thank you for taking time out of the day to listen to us for 2 hours talking about issues that are important to you, but I really appreciate the time that everyone's taken to come out to listen to us. It really means a lot to us. Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for being here today. I know it's a beautiful day. You could be outside in the park with your family, with your kids, but you decided to be here today because it is important for you. Thank you for the bar for hosting this debate. I'm not a politician. I'm a community advocate. I've been advocating for the community, and not only for Latinos. Immigration issues is not only for Latinos. Housing issues is not only for Latinos. Improving public transportation is not only for Latinos. Increasing the minimum wage is not only for Latinos. I've been advocating on policies, also on cultural events, and I always, was talking to Thomas, Grizzly, and Bangley. I always tell them we need to work together. It doesn't matter about the outcome, we need to work together. But I'm afraid the District 7 seat is for sale because there are big money going into the campaign to make sure they buy the seat. So that's why when I ran, I said, I want to change the way they do these campaigns by, small, powerful people They're always controlling politics. They're always imposing us candidates. I want to respond to Chrisley when he said we have 5 or 6 Latinos. No, we got like 3 Latinos. The rest are Italians. They are not Latinos. We look alike, but we are not Latinos. They are Italians. So I've been advocating, I've been walking the neighborhood, learning about the community, understanding about the community, talking to them, going door by door, and working on the issues. Well, the way I do is, first of all, I ask, conduct a survey, and then we work together, and I invite people to draft something to bring it to the council or bring it to the BTA board so we can demand these changes we need, right? Yes. They call me a lot of things. They call me big, because I'm from the ghetto, nobody believes in me. They say, no, you need to get out from the race. You shouldn't be running, you know. Ben Fio from the Subway Level Council and Cindy Chavez, supervisor, they try to get me off the race because they say nobody who ever got out from the ghetto area can win a campaign, a city council seat. I'm going to prove them wrong because I don't have the money, but I have the people support. People supporting me. Today, before I come here, I was volunteering with 3 more friends. We were leaving flyers with no door knocking because it's too early. So, and that's why I'm running, because I say we need more leadership. We need a city council who is willing to take a leadership, who is willing to take a stand on issue. I don't like politicians who stays on the fence all the time and they don't want to take a leadership. Our council members, they don't propose anything. They don't do motions. They don't amend motion or amend projects. I don't see them proposing anything. I say, why they are not doing anything? So the only leadership there is on the city council is Johnny Camis, and Johnny Camis' politics is totally different than my views. I'm a progressive guy. I co-founded the Luna, a community organization, and I co-founded the Subway Progressive Alliance. I'm not here coming and say, I want to do this, I will do this, I want to do this. No, nobody is telling me what to do. I've been doing it for over 5 years. I've been working in cultural stuff, and issue stuff, and policies, addressing problems, and bringing the community together. I was also making sure we vote, because if we vote, that's the way how we can make them listen to us. That's why how we can make politicians listen to us. So I come from a country where political and civic engagement is not common over there. So when I came here and I found out that we had this beautiful freedom amendment to advocate and fight and have the freedom of speech and assembly, that's why I said, well, I love it. I love this country. And I'm proud of being here. And that's why I dedicated my time to do something for the community. I don't get paid for that. I don't get paid for that. All this work that I've been doing, I'm doing it for free. I don't get paid. It's voluntary. So, like Council Member Tan Nguyen said, yeah, if I get elected, I will be a full-time volunteer. So I'm not here, and nobody is paying for my campaign. It's people paying for my campaign. You can go to my 460s, you will see a lot of $5 donation. Yeah, because I've been talking to people and doing a grassroots campaign. Not big money campaign. Thank you.
So thank you to the VAR and all of you for coming out here today. It's been a pleasure, and I will stay if you want to talk, and I'm happy to come out and to your homes and talk with you to work together on solutions. I'm running because I have a track record. I've been doing things. I've co-founded organizations. I've worked in organizations. I've done a lot of volunteering over the years. But I've been frustrated that we don't have a council member doing the work that we need done in this community. That's why I'm running. I'm running to work with you together to get that work done. We need a change, and that's why I'm running, and I'd appreciate your support on June 5th. Thank you.
So thank you very much for your time today. Thank you to the Vietnamese American Roundtable for hosting this event. Our district has been neglected for many years now, and the numbers show it. We have the most illegal dumping hotspots in the whole city. We have the most crime in the entire city. Our roads are the worst. Our people do not feel safe. We have to come together. We have to unify. We have to unite. All of us, every single one of us. So with one voice, we have to stand up and demand more. We deserve better. All of this boils down, all the problems that we have come down to two things. We're not unified and we don't have representation at City Hall. This June, you're going to be presented with a choice. You're going to have a choice to vote for one of the 7 of us up here. I really ask you and beg you, please vote for me. I'm going to change things. I will make a difference. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So why would you vote for an incumbent when things are so bad here right now? District 7, we have a history of this, ladies and gentlemen. We have decades of poor leadership. District 7 council members, the last few council members, have stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars. They have done cocaine. They have gone to prison. They've been recalled. They've been disbarred from practicing law in the state of California. Why are we electing people like that? Why don't we elect somebody with, fortitude? Why don't we elect somebody with morals? Why don't we elect somebody who cares about the people and not the special interests? Divisiveness, deception, that's ruled our district, and that needs to change. Candidates say that they care about you, but in reality, they only care about the puppet masters pulling their strings. Puppet masters being the special interests, or the people donating thousands of dollars to their campaign. What about us? What about the people that can't donate money? What about the people who are working multiple jobs? Where's their voice? Why don't we elect somebody like that in the office that cares about us and will voice our concerns, the concerns of the residents in the neighborhoods? We need a change. My wife and I want a better future for my little daughter, right on cue there, and your families as well. We need higher paying jobs. We need improved safety, more housing, clean and safe parks. We need to eliminate the bureaucracy at City Hall, and we need to be treated as equals. So I graduated Santa Clara University. I started out in political science. I thought it was too easy, so I transferred into mechanical engineering. Interesting situation there. I was the youngest lead architect in my company's history, and I received an award from U.S. Senator Mark Udall for saving American lives in combat through my engineering design. Like I said, I was the youngest lead architect on a multi-billion-dollar program, and that's important because our city budget is multi-billion. So that means I have experience dealing with many teams, many persons, many contractors. I have a lot of experience with that, and I was the best at what I did. And I'll be the best as our city council member. 9.5 years ago, I was told I'd never walk again. I was hit by an 18-year-old drunk driver. He rear-ended me while I was completely stopped. Doctors said it would be impossible to walk again. Well, here I am. After that, I started our neighborhood association, the Center Monterey Neighborhood Association, because I wanted to get our community engaged. I wanted them to become more civically active. I wanted to improve our relationship with San Jose Police Department, because that's what our residents wanted, that's what they needed, and that's what they got. I then started up our District 7 leadership group because we needed to come together, and we still do, with one voice. I was then elected into the Neighborhoods Commission, and I was elected vice chair of that commission, to ensure that all of us have a voice and are represented in that commission on some level of City Hall. So people say that change is impossible in our district. My hero, Muhammad Ali, he said, "Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential, impossible is temporary, impossible is nothing." Let's do the impossible. Vote for me in June. Thank you.
Thank you to the Vietnamese American Roundtable for this opportunity to express my political view and my commitment. I will never set the field office in this place. My field office will be at the Starbucks. Because if I set the field office here, people will say, oh, this is Chris Lee territory. Because if you have here people who don't like me, they might not come here. And if Council Tam sets his office here, a lot of people who don't like Council Tam, they're afraid to come here because he chased too many people away. You can go online to the Mercury, you've seen the video clip. I don't have to explain it, you can see it for yourself. And Omar Vasquez, you know what, if there's another person I want to see at the runoff, that would be you. You have demonstrated great leadership, great commitment to our community. And I say, the Vietnamese want to see you in the runoff. You just need to go and get the votes from all the populations, okay? Việt Khang, ca sĩ Việt Khang từ Việt Nam qua đây hát 2 bài. Anh là ai? Việt Nam tôi đâu. Anh là ai khi anh lấy tiền của Tài Việt, địa ốc, construction, anh phục vụ cho ai? Ai là chủ của anh? Anh là ai khi anh đấu tố những người già, những vị cao niên 90 tuổi, người già, hộ nghèo, khuyết tật? Anh là ai khi mà anh khủng bố phụ nữ ngay tại trung tâm cộng đồng, chụp mũ quay lén giới trẻ? Cái câu hỏi này chúng ta phải hỏi chúng ta là ai? Việt Nam tôi đâu? Mình phải hỏi Việt Nam Cộng Hòa chúng ta đâu? Chúng ta có những cái lãnh đạo mà làm những cái chuyện như vậy thì làm sao xứng danh cho Việt Nam Cộng Hòa? Chris Lê, tôi là con cháu HO. Cha ông tôi góp sức cho Giang Sơn Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Và tôi sẽ cố gắng dùng cái khả năng của mình để giành lại cái Giang Sơn Việt Nam Cộng Hòa của chúng ta đã mất. So, just in conclusion, I make my brief short. I am pledged to do everything in my power to uphold our value. The Republicans in deep red state of Alabama, red state, they voted for Democrats because the Republican candidate was just so bad. Today, we must find the courage in ourselves to say that the elected leaders does not represent our value. This is not who we are. This is not what we want to be. And I hope that you have the courage in your heart to make the decision to set the future for our district and our residents. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. And I did want to, continue the sentiment. Thank you for to Vietnamese American Roundtable for setting this all up. I know they continue to do great work in the community, and this is just another example, a fine example of bringing community to their leaders to let their beliefs be known. I also wanted to thank each and every candidate who came here today. It was a great debate. We had some fantastic feedback from all of you regarding what your plans are. I think we covered a lot of ground today, from everything from public safety to transit to all sorts of different areas. Thank you for that. Thank you also to the press for being here today to cover this, because I know not everybody could be here in this building. And thank you to all of you, the community, for coming out today, because you will be the ones who will decide what direction our district will look like in the future. It's so important for us to be involved, to get our issues known to these leaders, because without you, our democracy truly fails. So thank you again for coming here today. I want to pass it off to Mimi for some last final words, and I think we're good.
So thank you first to Nick and Asian Law Alliance for supporting us today and moderating this nonpartisan panel. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you to all the candidates for making the time to come out and talk about the issues that are very relevant and pertinent to our community. So thank you for being here today. We wanted to thank the audience, because without you, as Nick has said, our democracy does not function. And thank you for just being a very active participant, and we really thank you for being here. We wanted to thank a couple of our sponsors who made it out today. So Ji Quyên Vuong with ICANN, Gwen Mai with Vivo, Ji Milin was here earlier today with the Asian American Community Center of Santa Clara County. And so we would like to apologize if we didn't get to address all of the issues today. We hope you forgive us, and we hope you understand we were working with a limited amount of time. And lastly, we are doing voter registration outside, so we do encourage for anyone who has not yet registered to vote to do that as well. We would like to thank our volunteers, especially the timekeepers in the back. Tiffany and Kai, you guys were awesome. Thank you for your awesome dancing skills, Tiffany. And then lastly, thanks to Nam and V for translating for all of those that couldn't understand. So thank you, everyone. You can take some food home and then chat with the candidates if they're sticking around for a little bit just to get to know them. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.